yes, without further ado, I will be welcoming our very first speaker, and that is Dimple from Talking Circles. So give it up for Dimple. Thank you. Got it.
My name is Dimple, CEO and co-founder of Talking Circles. And actually what's really interesting and around why sort of James asked me to come and talk a little bit is because we started our company about 18 months ago. And interesting enough, we've got some really great clients, and a lot of the talks that that sometimes I've attended or that there are over here in Shoreditch and this area is around building great products and product focus and tech focus. And I guess I'm kind of coming at it with a bit of a different perspective around sales and actually, all right, great, you built a product or you're building something, but then actually getting it to market. How do you do that? And it's not like I have massive experience in sales or anything like that, but these are just some things around my learnings that I'd like to share with you. So I guess the objective for today is to share with you what have I learned, what would I do differently, and also 3 tips and recommendations. So everything we do, and you'll see this kind of integrated into Talking Circles, is everything we do is around actually what are the actions that you're now going to take if you have a business, if this is of interest to you, what are the actions that you're going to take now in order to make a difference and sort of help your business grow. So at least if someone has one objective, then that's pretty successful for me. So why do we exist and who do we work with? So these are some of the brands that we're working with at the moment. Carglass is the sister company of Autoglass, based here in the UK. And yeah, so why do we exist? So we exist to essentially... Oh, no, that's the wrong side. We exist to empower people. So my whole goal around why I quit my job, why I started this business, why I'm doing what I'm doing, is because there's a massive need in the industry around in large corporations. Every time there's a big corporation that is growing really quickly or you've already grown really quickly, there's tend to be silos. And these silos can be departmental silos, global silos, like people not talking to each other in different countries. And what that does is it massively reduces efficiency, but also increases barriers to innovation. And given sort of what big focus companies are trying to put on there around how do we not make sort of these startups and these early stage companies not invade sort of our business models and invade our market space. So how do we help them? So this is a problem that we're trying to solve. And then the problem that we try to solve for the employee's perspective is that, like most of you might know if you're coming from corporate, is that the way we develop has changed, the way that we want to work, the way that we want to learn at work, all of that has changed. And instead of, like, for example, when you think of your director, if they took 10 years to get to that position, actually, I can do it in 2. So why do I need to wait for 10 to get to that role? So we've become a lot more impatient in terms of what do we want to achieve. And what we call is the earning curve has become the learning curve. So we decided, okay, there is similarity between these 2 problems and we can actually solve it with one product itself. So the product essentially is a SaaS business. Obviously, that's why I'm here. And what you would do is essentially put in what gives you have. So what are the skills, knowledge, and expertise that you can offer to your colleagues? And then what are the skills, knowledge, and expertise that you would like to develop? So I really believe in this whole community aspect around everyone has something to give and take. It's just a matter of who do you connect with, who's the right match, who has what experience, and sort of how does that happen? Then after that, you get introduced to people. So we recommend you 5 people that would help you, that could potentially help you in that particular skill area. You would connect with them. You would send a message. So very quick and easy to send a message. It removes all of the social awkward barriers that exist to writing an email to someone really important in a large company. All you need to do is how long do I need? What is it for? Is it in person, over a call, and what times am I available? And then you'd also review your conversation. And this kind of all ties back into what is my mission, my goal, like whether it's my personal goal, my professional goal, everything is all around empowerment. And actually that one actionable outcome that you see down on the screen, it's really about, okay, what are you going to do differently as a result of that conversation that you had? So even today, from the questions that we get, from whatever it is that we learn from the other people, from our peers, or from anyone's talk, from the fireside chats, is like, actually, what can we take back and what can we learn from that? So again, for me, it's all about efficiency for the organization and empowerment for the employee. Now, what is the most important thing when it comes to enterprise sales when you first start? So there's a lot of things, and actually what I'm going to take you through is if I was to do it all over again, then what would I do differently? And this kind of takes us to a little bit of a timeline. So essentially, it's been 18 months since we launched since I founded the company with my co-founder. First 6 months, I would kind of define that as like pre-trading. So we weren't trading, we weren't selling to companies. We're just figuring out, is there a business over here? What are we providing? The next 6 months was when trading started. So when I was like, all right, I think I've got the confidence-ish to actually go out there and be like, talk to these big companies and say, would you like to buy my little cute product? And then the last 6 months have essentially been like, okay, we've got a couple of clients, now what? Like momentum, how does it work, and how do I grow, and do I need to think of scalability now? What do I think about? So I think one of the things I would say is that when it was the pre-trading phase, I felt like what I was being pressurized to do was like a business plan. I need to know my pricing, I need to know my go-to-market strategy, how am I gonna scale in 3 years, and all of that stuff. And I think what you need to be really clear is like, actually, who are you doing that for? If you need to do that for yourself, to give yourself some reassurance that there's some long-term prospect to this, but actually that's what you're trying to figure out. So actually what I would suggest over there is to really focus on the value. What is the value that you're offering to your customers? What is the value that you're offering to the actual end user that is going to be using your product? Because if there's no value, and given how many tools they're using, how many people are selling into you all day, every day, there's no chance that you're going to ever use anything. So it's really about understanding that. Then when the trading starts, it's about execution. I'll get into detail of that. And then when the trading continues, that's when strategy comes in place. So that's the strategy that you need in order to know how you're going to grow your company. Now, whether you needed to do that piece before because you needed to raise some angel investment, yeah, fair enough, do your deck and that's it. You need to have a sort of bit of an idea, but don't waste too much time on it. That's my recommendation. So essentially when it comes to value, the first thing is, what is the, so again, the way I divide it, and I guess sort of B2B sales is probably gonna be like that. Again, depends on who uses your product. But the first thing is, who is actually making that decision? Who is the right person? Who are you speaking to? What is the value that you're providing to the person who's actually going to sign the contract? And I think the same way that the whole startup thing around, you're supposed to describe your startup in a tweet pitch or something like that, I think that's actually really real for even customers. They'll get bored at you and they will look at you with really weird faces if you start rambling on, and I've done that, I've been there. So it's really important to nail that, and that's probably one of the first things before talking to sort of any large customer or any customer at all, is like, actually, how am I going to make your life easier? And actually one of the things I kind of keep coming back to, and you forget, but then you remember, and then you do the training, it's like, oh, it's true, I should do that. It's like there's only 4 trigger points around why someone is going to buy from you. Either you save them money, you make them money, you're helping them enter a new market, or you're mitigating some kind of risk. So choose one of those. If it's not one of those, well, we can probably have a conversation, but I don't think that there's that much value in terms of like how you're gonna help them, help a customer. But those are the 4 key triggers around why someone is gonna tell you, yes, I'm gonna buy it and I'm gonna sign a contract tomorrow, versus, oh yeah, Dimple, it's hot in the agenda. Trust me, we really wanna collaborate with you, but let's talk again in the next year. And it's like, oh God, like shoot me, I've like been spending so much time on these customers, but that's what happens nowadays. And then the next thing is the focus on the user. So for example, for us, we sell into a company, fair enough, but then at the end of the day, the contract will not renew if the employees of the company are not actually using our product. So again, I guess one of the things is, some of you might have heard of this technology adoption curve and how you first target the innovators, then the early adopters, then the early majority, late majority, etc. So it kind of does work like that. And to be honest, like for us in our example in particular, it's like, actually, what value are you providing to that early, sort of first 100 people or first 50 people in the company? And then how are you going to use that to get to the next stage? How are you going to get that to get to the next stage? So it's kind of creating that sort of domino effect, and what's the value that they have? Because each stage is going to be different. And actually what's really interesting about our business is that I don't believe that is just one kind of value for the employee, for each employee. I think there's different personas. So most of you or some of you must have worked in like large corporates. Compare yourself against your peers, compare yourself against the people in this room. We all have different objectives. Some people might be there to earn a bigger salary, get a promotion, do this, do that, do the other. So it's really about understanding every single persona and then choosing, actually, if we're going to go for the first 100 or 200 people, then how are you going to really get that, like just be able to pitch it to them in a way that they're like, oh my God, this is a tool I've been looking for my entire life. That's what you want to get them to say. And then what I would suggest to you right at so actually probably this is an interesting thing to know. How many of you have a SaaS business, do B2B and are in the early stages? All right, perfect. So a few of you. So I guess one of the things that I would probably recommend is don't do pricing. It's a pain in the ass. Like honestly, it's like terrible. You're gonna start talking to companies. So we actually started to talking to a company where it's like, oh my God, they're great. Everyone knows their brand. Obviously, I'm not gonna say the brand now, but they told us, oh, it's because we would never pay that much, 40 grand for such tools or anything like that. And then actually turns out that the next month they had a huge financial loss in the market. So obviously they were never going to pay for that. But actually that was too early. I wasn't really selling the value before digging into the price. So even if somebody asks you, and how much would it cost? Give them a ballpark. Say, actually, that's not my focus right now. And that's fine because they know that you're being really logical about how you're building your business. The other thing that you shouldn't be doing is build something that the customer thinks they want. So I probably have an entire sort of Trello board features list around things that our employers ask us. And every time, and this is a very hard decision because every time I tell them, unless it's analytics for them or anything like that, I might be like, okay, that's obviously value to you, so definitely we'll consider it if other clients also want it. But it's really about, is that what the customer wants? Is that what the actual end user wants? And a lot of times, a lot of technology tools that we sell to like large enterprises end up becoming tools that are for the person signing the contract rather than focusing on the usage that you're gonna get out of that. So would definitely recommend that. And then bespoke, do other clients see value in this? So again, it's really easy to fall into a trap. Oh my God, there's a Hilton, say for example, who's really looking for, who really loves my product and they want me to build a specific feature. You know what, they're building it, I really want this customer, let's get him on board. And I actually have mixed feelings about that because you can get in that trap. And for some of you that might be sort of developers over here, it's a pain in the ass for someone like me to tell you, oh, we need to develop this entire other part of the platform, and then that's like 2-3 months gone of the business. So really just kind of think to yourself, is this what other clients also want? And actually even now when I think of what features we want to launch, I actually just, the next probably 2 weeks, I'll just spend, whoever I speak to, I'm like, oh, and look, this is an idea I was actually thinking. What do you think? Like, or is this something that, and again, this is where I go back to that book, The Mom Test, where it's like, you don't need to ask them whether they want the product, but you need to be a bit more around like, what's the value that they're gonna get out of it? What's the problem that you're trying to solve? So these are some of the things that I would avoid in the first 6 months before trading. Then the trading begins, and this is like the most, how many of you are at that stage of like, you're now ready to sell your product into the company? Excellent, perfect. So that's when you focus on pricing. That's when you need to start. Now, pricing is an art. It's absolutely no science. Obviously, there's a part of science, which is how much is it actually going to cost you. But obviously, you're never going to charge a client how much it's going to cost you in terms of logically how you're probably building your business, but again, every business is different. So that's where you this is where you start focusing on pricing. When you actually go to a client, they say, yes, I want it, what are the next steps? And you say, well, the next steps is actually sending you a proposal. Now, one of the things that you need to do at this stage, and every stage of your pipeline, so whether it's the beginning that you get your leads, the prospects, then you qualify or whatever, like all of your different stages, is have different questions for them. And even when it comes to pricing, actually ask them different questions and ask them, actually, what are the tools are you working with right now? What are, like, be really honest, like what kind of ranges do you pay for these tools, or how do you contract them? Is it an annual contract? Because at the end of the day, if it's your first sell into a company, you kind of don't want to tell them, oh yeah, we do 3-year contracts with a 6-month break clause, but you need to sign for 3 years, and they'll probably laugh at your face. And because they'll laugh at your face, they'll probably say, goodbye, I don't need your tool. Because they're like, oh, there's like 10 other companies pitching to me all the time. So it's really difficult, sort of that first couple of relationships until you have that case study, really hard. But yeah, ask them, like, just be really honest. And honestly, I think some of our best customers, and actually our customers, the logos that you saw there, are people that I can actually have conversations with, potentially even go for a glass of wine and be really honest. And they love the fact that I can ask them questions, they can give me feedback. That's why they love to work with startups, because, and again, you just need to make sure that they're not going to take advantage of you, because everyone tries to get a good deal. But yeah, just be really honest with them about the pricing. The next thing is about who's the right person in the organization that you're going to target. So this is when you start asking a lot of questions. Who's the decision maker? How does the process work? How does procurement work? And just ask them lots of questions so that then when you go to them, you know exactly, okay, this is the person. Actually, we're going to have a next meeting. Do you mind bringing on this other person on board? And sometimes it might come across a little bit intrusive. It's fine. You're doing your job. Like, you're selling. Like, it's not like you have all the free time in the world. So it's fine. If I think a lot of these things come with that confidence level that builds up as you. Obviously, companies will reject, and then suddenly you go home and it's like, oh my God, my life is a disaster. But it's just about kind of go back, like put yourself back up and say, actually, well, I do know that there is value in this. There are people interested. Fair enough, there's other people that are not interested, but it's just a matter of the right person. And you have no idea how many companies have a list of them, so many, that it was because of the wrong person that I contacted in the organization. So sometimes it might be very junior, that they're like, oh yes, this is a really great idea. Okay, give me a presentation, give me a proposal. And I actually do this with some of my competitors even. It's like, oh yeah, sure, send me a proposal. And I was like, okay, I'll discuss it with my manager. And it's like, oh my God, that discussion is never gonna happen. You're probably gonna just say, hey, I looked for this tool and like, do you think we should buy it? Like, of course, that's not the way to sell into a company. So ask the questions and really know who's the buyer, why are they target? Like, and again, back to the value. One of the things I must say about the value is, what I did was, when I was speaking to lots and lots of people, it was about putting a table together and actually saying each type of role and why that role is interested in the product, and actually measure the value for different, because the value for an HR person is going to be very different to a CIO, to a CTO, to the CHRO, to the HR manager, to the learning and development manager. But every time you have a conversation with someone, it's like, oh yeah, of course, this is what we've done for you. But then suddenly the CEO comes on board and you're like, oh no, big vision, like this is what we're selling for you. So again, really know what is the right message for each person. For the right person. And then finally getting brands on board. So this is really, like, at the beginning I was like, no, it's fine. Why do we need to get big brands? We can just get sort of companies that people potentially have never heard of, and it's fine and we'll do well. But actually at the end of the day, it really depends on what kind of business do you want to build, and actually that credibility. We went into an HR conference where we went with the Carglass case study. We went with Hilton, that they've launched it, and actually immediately people know, oh shit, of course, she's working with Hilton trusts her, definitely, we're gonna talk to her more. So it's really that credibility that it gives you. Whereas actually, for example, some of the other customers that actually might be a company based in just France, and it's just based in Paris, and even though they're like 3,000 employees, but it's just there, then actually you might be like, who? Like, for example, we launched this pilot with Imperial College, and this was right at the beginning before trading. But actually, when I was pitching to all of these big customers, I was like, oh yes, we launched a pilot with Imperial College. And they're like, who? It's like fair enough, people in the UK might know them, but actually some people outside, they wouldn't know. It's a complete different sort of target. So definitely go for brands. And actually one recommendation I would give to you, if you're B2B, is LMARC. So LMARC is an accelerator, and usually I'm kind of against accelerators from if you check out my LinkedIn, you'll see I've been through a few accelerators, but in general, I would suggest LMARC, because they are an accelerator that will get you in front of customers. So they essentially get customers on board, then they tell you whether like what are the 5 challenges that they want to be solving. You pitch to them, you do a pilot for 8 to 10 weeks, and then from there it's like, okay, does the company want to buy your product or not? You can put your terms, you can put whatever it is. They pay for expenses if you ask for them, whatever it is. So that's one of the only accelerators that do not take money from startups. They'll have an options agreement, but then apart from that, it's really fair, and there's no fees for us. Then the strategy. So this comes sort of what I've gone through now. How am I doing with time? Yeah? Okay, cool. So strategy, the need for momentum. So this is when you get your first, second customer, and then you're like, oh shit, now what? Like, how do I get my next 10 customers? How do I get? And I wish I was at that stage. I'm currently at that stage right now. So no, I have not reached the 10 customers yet. But this is sort of some of the things that we're focusing on. So is it, and these are some questions to ask yourself, are you going to be an off-the-shelf or a bespoke kind of product? So a lot of times, some of the features that we've had to build, and it's been really interesting conversations between me and my co-founder around, do we build this especially for this client, but does that mean that they're going to sign immediately? Is this something that we now have to customize for each customer? How do we make that easy? How do we make that scalable? So essentially, again, these are sort of strategic decisions that you need to make, and how you're obviously going to grow, and whether that's going to impact how much dev time goes into sort of launching with each customer. Is it a matter of you can be up and running, for example, what we do, you could be up and running in a week's time, we'll get it all done, and actually the technology is really quick to set up for each company? Or is it a matter like, okay, we need to do an entire plan of 3 months? Depends how complicated your product is, but these are sort of some decisions. The other one is, how do you charge for more features? So for example, if you're a heavy tech focused company, and this is what happens if you've worked, for example, in an agency before or something, where actually you say, well, if you want these products, then I'm going to charge you X amount for 8 hours, and this is how, like the client is actually buying technology. So actually you need to be very honest with yourself. Even if you're a technology product and you're a technology business, is it technology led or technology enabled? And that's where you'll know whether, is it a product that you just want to sort of sell out there, get their feedback and be very honest around, okay, these are things, and then you charge for extra features, but it's not like they have a monthly retainer package where you charge them every month 8 hours. Just some questions to answer. And then product roadmap and revenue roadmap. So very important things. I think the one thing I would probably say is, don't put too much pressure on yourselves, because I guess people in this room are people that are really keen to get their businesses launched, to sort of get sort of their products going out there, etc. Don't put too much pressure on the product roadmap, on the revenue roadmap. Everything comes, and whether it's you need to do 90-day plans with OKRs or whatever it is, but do what's best for your company, and don't get freaked out by what other companies are doing. Learn from it. See actually, okay, is that something that we want to do from ours? But that it's not the same methodology that works for everyone. Then key challenges that we faced and what have we learned. So this will go a little quicker. So vertical and or horizontal criteria about your target market. So this is something, again, that we've been working on now recently, even though I had it in my mind for some time and I know what we're doing. But again, it's about writing it on paper and actually saying, look, this is our strategy. So one of the things is, are you going to target industries, or are you going to, so that's more sort of the vertical approach. So for example, now we've got Hilton on board, I can say, okay, we're going to target the hospitality hotel market, we're going to target the automobile market, and we're going to target the sort of retail supermarket chains. So is that the kind of strategy that you want? Or is it, from a sales perspective, is it different criteria that fall under that target market? So for example, knowledge-centric companies, the company needs to have between over 5,000 employees, need to have a revenue of at least X amount, or they, and I think one of the things that I would probably say is that this thing is the most important for us. Is it the right culture? And that has been the most important for the success of our platform. And again, each product is different, but I think if you do have a product that's going to end up being used by the people, you need to think actually, are they on the same page as us or not? So for example, from our side, the culture is something where sometimes the C-suite are very excited about the product and they're like, yes, we definitely need to do this, but the culture is still not set. So therefore, I don't believe that Talking Circles is a tool that actually will completely radicalize everything in the business and suddenly all of the problems will be solved. So it's really about asking them, what other initiatives are you doing in order to solve this? How else? What else are you trying? What has worked? What hasn't worked? But tell me that you've got that internal, like, are the people motivated to actually launch this? Is it the right engagement levels? So sometimes in some companies, the engagement levels are completely low, and actually you'll know that probably that's not the right culture where you need to serve your product to grow and where you need your product to be in. So be honest to yourself. And again, I've been through a lot of cases where I'm like, oh yeah, definitely the right culture. And for example, a company, I'm just going to use an example based in, say, for example, South Africa, they'll be like, oh yeah, definitely, great opportunity. I'm sure it's the right culture. It's just I need to dig a bit deeper, and I'm not being honest to myself. So really just tell yourself, you don't need to tell anyone else, but just be honest, like, is it really going to work? And it's okay to turn away clients. And then, is it the right contact? So I come back to this because it's just so important to get, like, for you not to waste time. Is it the right contact? And I guess from my perspective, one of my key goals as well is around empowering women. There's a lot of sort of things I try to do through different initiatives, through different events around how are we going to get sort of more women to be more confident. But actually this is men and women. This is everyone. Sometimes we feel so afraid of asking, actually, are you the one that's going to sign the contract? Are you the decision maker? Whose budget is it going to be? Is it your department's budget? Is it going to be someone else's? But actually all you need to do is be bold and sit at the table. So don't shy away, don't sit sort of boardroom table, don't sit sort of on the side, just be there, be honest, be bold, and you'll get there. It's difficult, but you try it 1 or 2 times, you fail or whatever, you succeed, and then it'll be much easier the next few times. And then what are the trigger points? What will convert? So this goes back to my point before around, is it going to help the money? Is it going to help the money? Is it going to help the company save money, make money, enter a new market, or mitigate risk? And that is going to be the trigger point. So every time related back to not just the business impact you're going to have there, but what's going to be the commercial impact that you're going to have in the company. So 3 things I would recommend you to do. To write up, be honest about what has worked, what hasn't. If you've launched in a company that has worked really well, write everything about that. What do you think? Because no one knows more than what you do. If you feel like it's much better to do this as a team activity, do it with your team, do it with your company, do it with your co-founder, whoever it is, or even get sort of whoever, a partner, a friend, a sister, a sibling, whatever, and then just write it down. Then what are your skills and what do you enjoy? I think the most important thing with sales as well is that you don't necessarily, so again, a founder can perfectly be a salesperson, but sometimes not. And it really depends. So don't go into that pressure of like, oh, if you're a founder of the business and you're supposed to be able to sell the vision and all of that. Yeah, fair enough, but not everyone is as good as articulating things. So just be honest, like what are your skills? And whatever it isn't, then cover those gaps and bring in the right people to help you do that. And then what is your customers' trigger points to buy? So again, go back to those 4 trigger points. Each person that you're going to speak to in that sort of entire life cycle of that sales, so 6-8 months, and really pin down what is their motivation. I think there's something I saw the other day, which is you've got your it's obviously like a hierarchy. So you've got your business motivation, then you've got your team's motivation or something like that, and then you've got your personal motivation. Dig deeper into that, because sometimes you might find that actually the reason why they want your product to be successful is because they even want a promotion. So actually help them get there, build that relationship. Everything in sales is about relationships. You only buy from the people you like. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dimple. Thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you very much, Dimple. That was great.